Hello and welcome to Worth the War. My name is Kimmy. The purpose of Worth the War is sparing hearts by rethinking our approach to love and relationship. If you think we can do a better job preparing for and living out love and relationship, you have found the exact right place. Today is a really exciting day because I've actually been watching Geoff. And Geoff, I want you to pronounce your last name for me because I don't want to mess it up. It's cool. It's a neat name.
It's pronounced Stewart.
Stewart. Okay. So I will be putting all of his links down below. But one of the things that caught my eye about Geoff's work is that he has a real heart for what happens when things don't go the way that we have them in our head, when there's suffering and when there's pain, and how do we get back from that? And I can't think of a more important or fundamental gift that we can give people in a life that is absolutely, you can't predict it. You don't know where it's going to take you. I've been married over 30 years. Sometimes it takes you places you absolutely did not buy a ticket for. And when that happens, someone like Geoff can give us insight into what it means to just restart and to restart in a way that actually maybe even builds a foundation that's more solid. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today, Geoff.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
We're excited to get into your head a little bit. So why don't we start with just kind of a good question that will give our audience an idea of what are the goals and the hopes and the message that you would want to have into the hands of people when it comes to your focus and your interests?
Yeah, I think for me, like the message I want to communicate, and I'm pretty free and open with my own examples from my own family, my own marriage. I've been married for almost 26 years. I just want people to know that just because you find yourself in a ditch relationally or even individually, that's not your final destination. And there's nothing shameful about needing to back up and try again. There's nothing wrong with picking up broken pieces and putting them back together. There's this cultural myth out there that somehow there's a special group of people out there who never hit walls or never face plant. And I don't know those people, first of all. And if I did meet one, I probably would think they weren't being very honest with themselves or other people. And so I just really want people to understand that the work of rebuilding and repairing is the work of attachment. It's a constant series of misses. We know from like parent-infant interactions that you get it wrong more than you get it right. And it's the same with adult love as well. Like there's so many things in tiny, small ways that we get it wrong. And our work to repair that, whether we end up in a place we never imagined, or we're just trying to do maintenance stuff, it's just the work of relationships. And so that's my hope. I want people to stop panicking about the need to repair and learn how to do it well, be graceful about it, be generous with themselves and others as we all work to build deeper connections.
That's wonderful. I think that I love the reality that I think we sometimes want to paint this idea that there are people who don't have as deep or dark places. And I think how unhealthy is that? And what a beautiful thing when you flip social media on its side and you do what you're doing, which is a great foundation of what I believe is the most powerful gift of all, is to take a survivor's voice. In this case, it might be a survivor of 26 years of marriage. And what have you learned about what it means to love and be loved? You know, that's kind of taking what maybe was meant for an illusion and in giving it a purpose that actually changes lives. I think that's wonderful. Why don't you share with us, what are some of the things that you find are the most impactful that you have shared with people that maybe they hadn't considered when it comes to rebuilding after a season of difficulty?
And I think some of the top things that I talk about often is the power of accountability and ownership. I think that there's a natural tendency to believe that if I'm not in control, if I don't maintain some level of personal power or power over, that I think culturally we struggle to understand how to do power with and how to be with other people in partnership, and that nobody's fooled or horrified when you admit that you blew it. And so I think accountability is one of the most softening and bonding kinds of things we can do, even with small children who are powerless in most cases. It endears us to people. I mean, I think about when giant corporations who have to do recalls, or, it's so rare that when it happens, we're touched by it, which is, we blew it, we're so sorry, here's all the information so you can make an informed choice, so you can self-determine. I mean, that kind of stuff is like, we feel so safe. But when somebody's guarded, or they do double speak, or they're gaslighting us, or things like that are going on, our nervous systems just reject that. So rebuilding trust is really always leading with accountability and owning what you did wrong and what you didn't get right, what you didn't understand, and giving yourself room and permission to not be perfect. In my faith tradition, there's so many people that get up in a public setting or share their feelings or thoughts, and they almost apologize for making mistakes. And it just drives me up the wall, because I just think there is no other way. Like, this is just how we do it. And so I want people to settle into the idea of accountability and really embrace it as a way of life, and recognize that this is how people feel close to us, is through our humanness, through our willingness to acknowledge that this isn't our first rodeo, and we all fall and we all need to get up and bring each other along. So I'd say, Kiwi, that's like probably the biggest one that I see is trusting that process and not pretending like it has to be some other way.
What a great message on accountability and how it helps keep our relationships healthy and honest. In part 2, we're going to be talking to Geoff about rebuilding. What happens when love doesn't go the way we planned, and how we can actually make it better than ever. Thanks for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of your day.